What do you do when you realize that you've lost your voice? And by losing your voice, the way to communicate to those out there, which are you, my viewers, when you've promised to do something special. And actually, I was going to do something special last night, as in New Year's Eve. And I have to explain something because like last week, I've been going through all of those locations, visiting Christmas markets all over Europe. And I thought I'd seen the most of it. What I did was I actually went online. I looked through tags and Instagram posts. And I also visited some websites. And to my surprise, I found out that, look at this. There are so many locations over here. And I was like, ew, I'm missing a huge piece of information because I have no clue if there are so many choices, what would you like to see the most? What would you think, that's so totally cool? Would that be like light shows or audio shows or 3D shows? So would it be the sightseeing in the town itself? How many Christmas markets would you like to see before you get fed up with them? So the combination of doing a Christmas trip during Christmas time with actually exploring Europe, because that's what it's all about, and getting to see the little cool things. I can think about what's cool. And I do know that people have told me that they would like to experience the good life. Like, okay, so what's out there when it comes to food and to beverages, and what's particular for a certain culture or a certain village. So one of the jokes that I've been making not too long ago has been about Gouda. When I go to the Starbucks in the US, or when I'm on the plane to or from the US, then they talk about Gouda and they talk about Gouda cheese, and I have a blast whenever I hear it, because Gouda is actually called Gouda. And then there, of course, are the stroopwafels, and stroopwafels are stroopwafels. So yeah, I understand that people actually cannot pronounce it. But the time when I was at Starbucks, it was actually kind of funny, because if I'm out of breath just for a second, it's like less than half an hour since I've regained my voice. It's been gone for almost like 5 hours or so because of a severe allergic reaction. So I'm actually glad that I got my voice back, hence why I asked the question, what do you do when you cannot communicate anymore? But going back to Gouda, so when I was at Starbucks, I said, do you actually know Gouda? And called coincidence or not, the week before I'd been taking all these pictures in Gouda, because there are some really cool places. I know that Holland is known for its meals. Well, Gouda actually has a few of those. Of course, there's Cheese Valley. I believe you call it Cheese Valley. We call it the cheese market. Cheese Valley does sound more interesting, though. Almost a little bit more spacious. I don't know. It's, Cheese Valley. Well, for those who do not know it, the Netherlands, it's a flat country, except for when you go really up north, or better said, really to back down to the south. Up there, then you'll experience that it's becoming more like a curvy, a hilly area. But where I live, which is in the west of the Netherlands, near the ocean, which is also close to Gouda, it's flat. Well, turning back to Gouda, they also have these very cool houses, and they still have some of the canals. And what they don't have is a cheese factory, because that's located near Gouda, but not over there. So I looked on and I was thinking, okay, so what else is there? And I came to see coffee. And I was like, okay, so how does that work? So we had two brands when growing up. We had Douwe Egberts, D-A-D-E, spelled. And actually it's kind of funny because the father of Douwe Egberts, Egberts Douwe, actually started the coffee. And then there was Vanille. And you know, the song of the commercials has been stuck in my head for days now. It's about how good it smells the second you open the door, because you get that smell of coffee. And honestly, I don't know about you, but you know, it people who know me will probably be surprised, but it's taken me a long time before I actually started drinking coffee. Now I'm known for going to the Starbucks because I want my latte. But what I always did like was the smell of coffee. You know, I could actually literally stick my nose very close to a freshly opened package of coffee, like, oh, wow, that smells good. So to a degree, I can relate to what they said. But, well, getting back to the Christmas trips, that's what I was wondering about. What do you do? Now, I do not know what people actually, well, how long they would like to travel and how much they would like to see and how much they are actually capable of absorbing. And I was like, okay, so it's important to combine it with what's specific for this location, what makes it so unique, and also what are the little gems that people do not know about. So, like for instance, in Belgium and in the south of the Netherlands, we actually have caves, and some call them crystal caves, but you know, it's kind of cool to actually see what. I mean, they have like ice sculptures in those caves, but there are also like little markets in there, so there are a lot of things to do inside those caves, and it would be cool, I believe, to actually see it. Now, I'm not so sure if I would be able to join. I mean, I would love to see it, but if it's really slippery, then imagine that with crutches. That would be something fun. But then again, I've never let my crutches stop me from going anywhere. So, but yeah, then I came back to. Well, I, you know, yesterday, as in last night, I really wanted to go live and make it into something special. And I felt like by not reaching out to you, I didn't live up to my promise. And that actually bugged me a lot. So today I had to tell myself, well, okay, you know, I'd really been working on it. Well, you've seen it. there are so many locations and dots and everything. So yeah, could I have planned better? Yeah, I suppose I could have. But this is also about not postponing anything. And although I didn't really postpone it, I did realize I had to make a selection. I had to say, okay, this is what I'm going to focus on and this is what I'm not going to focus on. And then I get back to what I said before. What do I base on what I'm going to talk about? Because I still don't know. And hopefully by the end of this video, you already have come up with some ideas what you would like to see. And if so, then please reply with a comment underneath and tell me what it is you would like to see. Because hopefully by next year, Corona will be lifted, as in the restrictions due to Corona will be lifted. And we will be actually able to make a Christmas trip throughout Europe, which would be so cool. Well, let me tell you that my idea of taking a Christmas trip with all of you is by picking each one of you up near the various airports, and you would come on a coach with me, or we would have two coaches, which would consist of a number of tables which families can group around, and then there would be like bunk beds. So there would be a limited amount of people on those coaches, but you know, the bunk beds would make it possible for us to sleep while driving, and you know, so that would be more efficient. Of course, I don't know if everybody can sleep on the bus, especially when people are snoring. But, well, to me, it seems like a very efficient way to drive around. Then, again, that's what I was thinking about before I was capable of recording this video again. I was like, okay, but what if you want to do some sightseeing? Now, if it's really dark, you won't see anything at all. But during the day, it might be really cool to actually go places and you know, maybe record your view as in while driving. I mean, it's a different story when you get off and you take your pictures and you go to places. So I was like, okay, it would be nice to stop for lunch or stop for breakfast and, you know, stretch your legs and then do a little sightseeing, not too much, and then hop back on the bus on the way to a bigger location to go to. But again, that's my idea of what could probably be very interesting. And I still don't know what you out there would like to see. So which places in Europe would you like to visit? Well, having said so, I do have something else for you. I made a booklet a while ago, which is about experiencing your trip, your holiday basically, in a different manner. So what do I mean by that? Usually when we start our holidays or we go on a trip, you know, the first few days we're basically, you know, relaxing. And then by the time we are finally enjoying ourselves, it's already time to leave. And then when we come back to normal day-to-day life, like within a day or 2 days, we completely forget where we've actually been. And it would be so nice to capture that feeling that we experience when we are on a holiday and to take it with us into normal day-to-day life. And in order to do so, I created this booklet, which is, well, there's the possibility to put pictures in there or to write down maybe little thoughts or quotes or phrases you've heard, things that really, that stuck by you during that, maybe for a couple of days, or maybe during the holidays, or maybe even after. And by looking at it and creating a workbook that you could like straight away use, you actually have something tangible by the time that you're at the end of your trip. And it's not like back in the days when you had taken all these pictures and then you had to develop all those negatives and then get it printed and then it had to be stuck in a photo book. But then again, nowadays we have our phones with all the pictures on there. And I don't know about you, but I have, I don't know, over 10,000 pictures on there, photos on there. So, I mean, fortunately, we nowadays can scroll like a year back, or I can look at a certain month or a certain week. And if I know about which time I was at a certain location or which event was going on, then it's actually kind of cool to scroll through it, and it's not too much hassle. And yeah, so having said so, this is not just about those pictures, but it's also about what was so special about it. And I do believe that when you look at those pictures, you actually will regain certain memories and certain thoughts will come up. So apart from the questions I just asked you, I'm going to give you an assignment, which is think back about a very special holiday you had or a special trip, and look at those pictures and what do you remember, and if there are any specific emotions or situations or events that stand out, write them down. Not so much for me, but do it for you. And just relive it. What was so special about it? What is it you would like to do again? Or what is it you don't ever like to do again? 2018 was a very special year for me. I already wrote down a lot of stories and anecdotes from that time, because in 2018, which I declared my best year ever, which by the way was very convenient since we had t-shirts with my best year ever from Roy Martina. But it actually was my best year ever, because that year I decided to go for a second surgery, and I had that surgery at the end of 2018. But apart from that, I started touring with friends, and I got to see a lot more of Europe than I actually had expected. And I guess that's where the Christmas trip came from, because at the end of the year, I went to the US to see Brendan Burchard, and I think I was there for like 6 weeks. I went to Expert Academy, to the High Performance Academy. There was a growth convention too, and in between I stayed with friends in Florida, so that was kind of cool. So I've been in California and Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, in Florida too. And yeah, I even climbed the mountains with my crutches because I was like, well, I can't ruin anything anymore anyway before I get surgery, so let's just do it, which actually led to my motto, if I can do it, you can do it too, because I traveled the world for 6 weeks on my own with 2 backpacks and 2 crutches. So then I had to tell people, we had to do like a pitch. And I was like, yeah, I want to take people to the US. But, well, I was in the US, so that didn't make sense. So I turned it around and I said, well, what if I could take you on a Christmas trip through Europe and get you to see those little hidden gems? And I was thinking like, okay, there's like the Belgian chocolate. Well, you need to know about it. And what if I didn't take you to the Red District in Amsterdam, but I would take you to all those other places which are there as well? And, you know, when I was telling people about it, like, there's this Christmas shopping in London, for instance, the after Christmas shopping, which is really cool. And the more I told people about it, the more enthusiastic they became. And there were actually some out there that said, oh, if you get to organize such a trip, I am all in for it. So that's how that first idea started. And later on, I got told that there are a number of restrictions and liabilities to take into consideration. And I'm not talking about COVID-19 because that wasn't out there yet. But yeah, there's more to it than just going on the coach. But in 2018, I got to experience a little bit about what tour life is. I did drive with my own car. I've driven to the snow. I also rented a car. I've been on several flights. One flight, I learned that taking a suitcase with me with crutches was a no-go, so I missed the flight. I got stuck at the airport in a wheelchair, and yeah, I'm not going to spoil the entire story because it's going to be in my book about that year. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. So back to the Christmas trip and to the traveling. 2018 has been I have been in so many places in Europe, and then of course I've been to the States as well, where I've seen a lot of things. And by going through those memories, you know, there are homeless people, of course, in the Netherlands as well. But people are, they can get, an allowance is not the right word, but they do get money from the government even if they don't have a house. So there is a problem. There's a shortage of homes, and circumstances can lead to people not being able to get a house simply because there aren't enough houses to live in. But hearing about the people who, you know, their car broke down and they couldn't go to work, and because they couldn't go to work, they couldn't afford their place anymore. You know, those stories are heartbreaking. And then what happens next, and how quickly people, you know, become addicted to stuff. Yeah, that really surprised me. So to me, there were lots of impressions from what I've seen. And also, you know, something really silly, like I've got my toothpaste one day and my deodorant and some other, you know, basic necessities. I don't know if I didn't expect to stay overnight, but I'd forgotten it. And then next day when I walked outside in the snow, again, imagine that with crutches, very close by was actually, I think it was an Aldi. And I was like, yeah, we have one of those here in the Netherlands. And of course, I know it's a German company. And I think I was on the border of France and Belgium. I think I was in France. I'm not sure. But there it was. I could get all the stuff that I needed. And I was like, okay, so they have that here as well. You know, and I'm not sure that I've always had a love for traveling. I would actually say I didn't. I'm not sure. I've moved a lot. And when I was growing up, there wasn't enough money to go on holiday. But when I started working, I had to drive a lot, actually. You know, I've seen the north of the country, I've seen the south of the country, whereas I live in the west, I've seen the east. You know, I've basically been everywhere when it comes down to it. But I didn't like being stuck in traffic jams. But then when I realized that it was actually pretty cool to go across the border, at first it was like, oh, can I do that? Can I actually, you know, they'll be driving differently and what's it like? But then once I got to see those, you know, to me it was like, especially when I would go to Belgium or to Germany, do you know those model trains? And they have those tiny little houses on there. It was like I was in the enlarged version of a model train village. That was kind of weird. But then again, I soon found out that when it came to courses, I was willing to drive some extra hours, and especially when someone would be accompanying me. So that's where the road trips actually got born. And yeah, I love doing road trips, and I've got a few friends who can wake me up to do road trips with them every day. And one in particular, she knows who she is. But yeah, it's you know, when you're with people, it's actually fun. And I also discovered something else, which is a dash cam, and how cool it is to actually record videos, you know, like, what do you call it? Time-lapse videos. So every like so many seconds, there's a frame, and then you can actually very nicely see the area. So when in 2018 I started traveling, I also rediscovered my love for video and audio and photography. Well, there are just so many things that, you know, which I get reminded of when I talk about that year. And my question to you is, what are your memories? What can you get passionate about and excited about? And is there something that has changed your life or touched you for maybe just a moment, and then you forgot about it again? So I have to say that ever since I did all this traveling, so like 2 years ago, I did continue on that journey. So my coaching is not just regular coaching anymore. I deeply believe that getting people to a different location, away from day-to-day life, that's when they can actually get into that deeper space and, you know, really go in depth as in what they want to change, because they're no longer connected to the day-to-day business, so they're basically not distracted. But also, why not experience the good times with the, let's say, the more challenging times? Well, anyway, You know my assignment for you, which is think back about a certain time in your life or holiday, or scroll back on your phone and look at some pictures and then get back into that vibe, into that feeling, and what stands out most for you, and what did you decide that you didn't follow up on, or maybe you did but you didn't do it enough. Well, let me know, and also tell me what it is you would like to see or experience, so I can incorporate that into future live sessions. And then, of course, when you subscribe, I'll be sure that you're going to get that workbook, and I'll include a link to subscribe in here later on. And if you cannot find the link, please send me a comment. And if you're already really excited about this entire idea, whether it's during Christmas time or not, just hit me up, DM me, and I can do a free coaching session with you, and we can find out what it is what you get very passionate about, and why you haven't picked up on it just yet, and what you need to do in order to do it. So if you think, well, Lexi, that's cool, then find me. So this is it for today. Tomorrow I might be on at the same time. I don't know just yet. But be sure to subscribe to this page, like it, share it with other people, and let me know your answers.